ABC News exclusive Jacob Blake in his first interview since he was shot and partially paralyzed by a police officer in August. And since then, the Kenosha County District Attorney announced last week the officers involved will not be charged. And Michael, we know you had a chance to sit down with Jacob.
I had a chance to sit down with him on Tuesday, Robin. And Jacob Blake is a 29-year-old black man who was shot 7 times by a white officer in front of 2 of his children, leaving him partially paralyzed. And this morning, he's telling his side of the story for the first time.
You didn't resist.
I resisted to getting beat on. And what I mean by that is not falling, not letting them put their head on my neck. That's all I was thinking, honestly.
This morning, Jacob Blake is speaking out for the first time, almost 5 months after being shot 7 times by police, leaving him partially paralyzed.
I was counting down my breaths and my blinks. I'm just like, God, I'm coming. I guess this is it for me.
All unfolding as his sons watch from the back seat of that car.
I was like, he's shooting me. I couldn't believe it, so I kind of sat down in the car trying to do this. Put my hands up because I didn't want him to shoot me in my face or in my head or nothing. He just kept shooting, kept shooting.
So what's going through your mind?
My babies are right here, my babies. So after he stopped shooting me, I said, Daddy, love you, no matter what. I thought it was gonna be the last. I thought it was gonna be the last thing I say to them. Thank God it wasn't.
The incident once again sparking protests across the country, adding fuel to a fire that had been burning all summer since the police killing of George Floyd.
I didn't want to be the next George Floyd. I didn't want to die.
It was August 23rd, and Blake was at the house of LaQuisha Booker, the mother of 3 of his children. They were celebrating their son Israel's 8th birthday when an argument broke out between Booker and a neighbor.
So I just wanted to get them, I wanted to leave. My son is inside. Tears was coming out of his eyes. And he said, Daddy, you sure it's my birthday? I'm like, yeah, you know. I was like, I'm taking him to the store again, make him forget about all this.
As Blake prepares to leave, Booker calls police.
I wanted to take that risk. Emergency. Yes, I need the officer. Jacob Blake is here, and he has the keys to a rental that I purchased that I need to take back, and he's not trying to release it.
Police respond to a, quote, family trouble. They're told there's a warrant for Blake on domestic violence offenses and sexual assault.
What are you doing when they show up?
At that time, I'm walking out. I hadn't done anything, so I didn't feel like they were there for me.
Blake proceeds to put one of his sons in the car, and that's when he says he felt someone grab his arm.
I took my arm away in a human reaction. After I did that, I realized that it was the police, and it's like, uh-oh, because when I did that, he slammed me up against the truck.
Before the cop grabbed you, did they say anything to you?
No, not at all.
According to the Wisconsin Criminal Investigation Report, Officer Shesky recalled saying, quote, let's talk about this. He said Blake put his child in the car and turned to face him. Shesky said he then grabbed Blake's arm to put him under arrest and told Blake that he had a warrant.
They didn't say why they were there?
Mm-mm. They didn't say anything to me.
Did they tell you that they had a warrant for your arrest?
No.
Some sort of struggle follows. Police believe Blake is reaching for a weapon more than once. Blake denies this. Police deploy a taser multiple times. Blake pulls the taser prongs out of his skin. Officer Shesky and Blake end up in a physical altercation on the ground.
We see you walk away from the officers after they try to grab you.
I'm rattled, you know. I realized I had dropped my knife. I had a little pocket knife. So I picked it up after I got off of him because they tased me and I fell on top of him.
With an open knife in hand that Blake says fell out of his pocket, he walks around the front of the vehicle towards the driver's side door.
What are you thinking at that point?
I'm not really worried. I'm walking away from them, so it's not like they're gonna shoot me. I shouldn't have picked it up, only considering what was going on. At that time, I wasn't thinking clearly.
You were thinking once you get the knife into the car, you were going to just say,
throw myself to the ground and, you know, put my arms behind my back. Because if they did it there and they killed me there, everybody would see it.
According to the Wisconsin Criminal Investigative Report, Officer Shesky says that Blake drove the knife towards Shesky's body. Blake denies this. Blake opens the car door, and at that moment, Officer Shesky grabs the back of Blake's shirt and starts shooting.
You said that we can just look at the video. The video tells everything. Well, there are going to be a lot of people who look at the video and say, in the video, you're walking away from the police. So why didn't he just stop and do what the police are asking him to do?
I couldn't hear that. All I heard was screaming. My ears was ringing, so it was all muffled.
If the police were fighting me, if they were tasing me, I would stop walking away from them, and they would have my attention.
I mean, I had not left or tried to run at that point. That when they tased me, I had my hands up.
Officer Shesky's attorney says Blake was given every opportunity to comply, but he chose not to, and insists that, quote, the officers acted according to their training. According to records released in the Wisconsin Criminal Investigation Report, in the past, Blake has been arrested for attempting to flee police and for resisting arrest. These charges were dropped.
There are critics who are going to say, well, he's had run-in with the law in the past. He doesn't deserve any sympathy.
If you're a black person in America and you're not perfect, then they say, oh, it was justified. It's like our children have to be angels.
And we know your kids who were in the car. Have you had any conversations with them about this since it all happened?
I've explained to him and broke it down to him, like, Daddy can die, but for some reason I didn't that day.
And Jacob Blake is getting ready to have his 37th surgery and he's in physical rehab 4 days a week. Clearly, it is puzzling why he walked away, but it's even more puzzling why he was shot 7 times. Blake's attorneys will file a civil suit against the Kenosha Police Department. And you can see more of my interview with Jacob Blake tonight on Nightline.